or welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be about Imogen and the fact that she's just very hidden as a character. So let's go ahead and dive right on in. So who is Imogen Moreno? Imogen Moreno is our weird, quirky girl who was introduced in season 11. And she is introduced as our creepy girl who is into Eli and is trying to replace Claire in his life to be his muse and be his girlfriend. Very weird introduction, which automatically makes you think, like, who the fuck is this? Like, it's not a very good introduction with Imogen. But later on, we see her flourish, and we see her quirky side a little bit more. She ends up with Fiona, and that's really who Imogen is as a character. She's just a very, like, fun, quirky, silly character. So I'm going to jump to a specific thing that I feel should be, like, it's, like, essentially the focal point of the whole situation. And it's Imogen's need to be seen. And specifically with the whole Eli Claire situation that she put herself in. Let's go back a little bit though. I feel like Imogen didn't feel seen because, especially at home with her dad having early onset dementia, she's constantly caring for him and doing her best to help him out. Her mom isn't in the picture. I believe her mom is a nurse, or at least works in the medical field, because when Imogen goes to the hospital, her mom is wearing a white coat, so I think she's a doctor. And they don't have a really good relationship. Not sure when Imogen's mom left Imogen and her dad. Not sure what that encompassed or it looked like, but we do get a sense of Imogen having a lot of hostility towards her mom and calling her by her first name. She calls her Natalie, and she puts on this different persona when it comes to asking Natalie for money, or at least for some type of help, but she doesn't really want to ask her for help. So I feel like with that home life, Imogen is more so a caretaker. She's not really seen as a daughter, because her dad needs a lot more care and attention than a father that doesn't have dementia, that is a healthy father. So she is not seen in the way that she wants to be seen, and also not being really seen by her own mother, because her mother is working, and it feels like her mom is trying to reach out to her, but it probably has been so long since Imogen has been taking care of her father on her own, or at the very least, they just had such a tumultuous relationship where it completely ended up to where it is. And so from that situation, when she gets to Degrassi, when we see her in Degrassi, she has this need to be seen. And so with the whole Eli situation, I could definitely see her as a character who probably developed a crush on him at some point, and then became a little bit obsessive because it was her outlet from her father taking care of him, taking care of their dog, Travolta. So I could definitely see Imogen as a character diving into that type of realm of obsession. So when Eli comes back and he's in a vulnerable state, Imogen immediately just, like, jumps right on in, and it's kind of like she wants to take care of him, but also wants to be acknowledged by somebody. And so immediately Eli's like, what the fuck is wrong with her? Because she immediately took his meds. She's like, I'll take these. So it obviously garners attention from Eli to focus on her about his pills and his bipolar disorder, everything like that was going on. And she's able to manipulate him and so essentially and control him by telling him not to take his meds, and that the meds dull his creativity. And knowing all this information about him and Claire and their situation, she has this inkling for someone to notice her, to see her, to value her opinion. And Eli values her opinion very much so during the entire situation with the play, dealing with Claire, who was writing about the play. It worked out for Imogen to be that person, up until Eli snaps at her when he says, You are to me what I am to Claire, and I am nothing to her. That's when she snapped out of it. She said, oh, okay. Got it. You don't really see me as a valuable person. And because she was fine during that situation where she pretended to be Claire and, Eli kissed her. She was fine with that. Even though it wasn't her, it was still like some type of manipulation and control of him being able to be near her, I guess. I don't know what that one was, but he did kiss her, and so she probably was like, oh my god, he's kissing me. There's that obsession with Eli that comes out. So jumping to jealousy, I feel like Imogen was completely jealous of Claire, and it's mainly because that Claire was able to have an impact in someone's life, and she doesn't have that much of an impact, at least not from someone that can remember, because her dad with early onset dementia, his memory is slipping. So she does what she can to help out, but it's not acknowledged. It's not remembered. And so with Claire and Eli obviously remembers the whole situation with Claire. He remembers the relationship and has had such an impact on him, and the fact that he is still like so hell-bent on getting Claire back and doing this play, and everything is so focused on her that Claire has such an impact on him, and she wants to have that level of impact on somebody. And the fact that Claire is remembered and that Imogen can't be remembered typically. With her father, her mother, she doesn't really have a relationship with her, so she's not tying her mother to any type of relationship or any type of behavior that she has when it comes to being a teenager, being in school, and like dating and relationships and all that kind of stuff. So let's jump to her personality. So Imogen is just extremely bubbly as a character. Later on, when she finally snaps out of that obsession with Eli, we start to see her for who she is, and that's just a happy character who is very attentive, who's I believe she's like very empathetic character. She's constantly worrying about other people when Eli is diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and when she finally starts to understand Eli a little bit more outside of just her being obsessed with him, like she actually gets to know him as a person. She actually takes it into account of his diagnosis, and yeah, she kind of overdoes it. And that's just, I feel like the struggle with a person having a mental illness and someone who doesn't have a mental illness. It's that kind of like sensationalization, is that the word? Where it's like, oh my god, yes, this is your label. Like, oh my god, yes, this is what you live with. But for the person who does have a mental illness, the whole point of processing the mental illness is going through the fact that it's not who you are. It's what you're dealing with. It's what you've been diagnosed with, but it's not your complete identity. And I feel as though those who do not suffer from a mental illness, they have a hard time distinguishing that from who the person is. It's like they suffer from bipolar disorder, but they aren't like bipolar. Like there's a clear distinction and difference, but it's hard to identify that when you're not familiar with it, especially if it's something that you've never been diagnosed with or anything like that. So if you're just not familiar with it, it's a different language, it's a different way of approaching mental illness. So I feel like Imogen just was trying her best to care for him in this situation. And with this diagnosis, and Eli they were both having a hard time with communicating what they were processing, and it just didn't go well. But they were definitely better off as friends. But you can definitely see Imogen as a character. She really cares about people. She is very empathetic, very nurturing, obviously, because she does care for her father. She does, she has a lot of emotions, and I feel like her emotions are slightly repressed, especially the negative emotions, because she feels as if she has to put on this persona just to not break down, essentially, especially when it comes to taking care of her father, losing Travolta after he runs over the dog, and with the whole situation with Eli that it didn't go as she wanted to. It's trying to make a bad situation and putting like a pretty bow on it. I don't think she completely processed it, but she was just trying her best to make it seem as if it's not affecting her when it clearly did. So Imogen and Fiona. Imogen and Fiona are extremely cute. I absolutely love them. I love the fact because we finally got to see Imogen as her own character, separate from Eli and her obsession with him, and just being who she is as a character. Because she's a very eccentric character. She's a very happy character. She also struggles with, I feel like she kind of struggles with social expectations and social communication when it comes to dealing with Marisol, Katie, and Fiona when Fiona was trying to be popular. Imogen just didn't understand why Fiona was acting the way she was acting. Also probably because Imogen too has never really conformed to that. The way we see her, the way she like wears her hair, how she, just presents herself with her fashion, she's not a character that fits in. She's used to like standing out and being a little bit more eccentric. So when Fiona is trying to be popular, she's like, she doesn't get it. It's not clicking with her why Fiona's behaving the way that she is. And then when Fiona gives her a makeover, she is very apprehensive about it. And after the party, she's like, yeah, I don't like this. She's like, I'm not doing this. Either you want to be my friend or not, but I'm not going to look like this. Like, this is not who I am. And I think that's also tied to the fact that Imogen dresses like that when she's dealing with Natalie, because that's exactly how she looked with Natalie. Very washed out, very drab, very simple. And I feel like that's because Natalie was just probably a very strict mom too, maybe. She doesn't seem like a very whimsical person. I just don't get that vibe from her whatsoever. She was very like straightforward, and she was trying to connect with Imogen on an emotional level, but Imogen was not having it. So I think Natalie she probably was never that type of mom in the first place. She was probably always very strict, very like stubborn, straight by the book, like no nonsense. And so Imogen portrays that side to Natalie. And so when Fiona puts her in that dress and looks that certain way, she's immediately probably pulled back to the situations that she has to deal with Natalie, and just a version of herself that she doesn't like. It's a fake persona. That's not who she is. But ultimately, they become friends, and Fiona being Fiona, she is obviously into Imogen after her substance abuse, and Adam pretty much telling her was like, I'm not a girl and a boy. I'm a boy. Because clearly it's not like you want a girl. It's like, oh, So Fiona started to like really like process the fact that she's gay. We get the situation with Charlie, but that's not about her. And then after that doesn't work out, Fiona does have attraction towards Imogen. Who wouldn't? Like, she's just a cute character who's very kind. So when Fiona tries to set up Imogen and Eli, it doesn't work out, obviously, because they're like, we're better as friends. But Fiona still can't shake her feelings for Imogen. And Eli clocks her. He's like, you're into her, aren't you? Fiona's like, what? What are you talking about? Because the way Imogen interacts with a lot of people is just by being very touchy, a little flirty. And so they're like, oh, Imogen is just Imogen. But essentially, Imogen does feel those feelings towards Fiona. And they kiss on the Ferris wheel. It's a very Love Simon moment. I love it. and they get together. They have a really cute relationship. I would have loved to have seen more scenes with them on their relationship, just like holding hands, because that whole situation with Luke Baker, and that whole situation where Fiona's like, oh yeah, this is my girlfriend, and Imogen was like, she wasn't as comfortable yet to like say it, which is completely fine, but we could have done without that scene. I would have loved to have something else. But I mean, over time, we just see them having like some really good moments. Just would have loved to have seen more. Then we get to Paris. So Fiona gets an opportunity to go to Paris for some fashion internship or a fashion position to work with a fashion designer. And Imogen immediately is like shutting down, freaking out at the same time. She ruins the initial meeting by going to the meeting with the designer, pretending to be Fiona. And she's obviously drunk, and she's doing everything she can to make Fiona look bad, which kind of gives me the Jay situation. But it's not as bad, in my opinion. It's not as bad because Jay sent a sex tape. Like, bro. After rewatching to get all my notes, okay, so it is as bad. I have to re-edit this part, but it is as bad because Imogen literally harasses the designer by touching his legs. So yeah, it's that bad. But from it, Imogen learns that she has to like let Fiona go, and she's been able to do that. It has taken her some time, but she has been able to do that for other people around her that she loves. She was able to let go of the idea that she has to be the person to take care of her dad, and also letting go of the dream of being with Eli because she realizes, oh yeah, this is too much and we're better off as friends. So she has the capability to let somebody go and to let other people to step in and help out. It's just a hard transition for her, especially with Fiona, someone that she actually genuinely loves romantically and being in a relationship with her. So it's a little bit more difficult for her in this situation, but she does have the capabilities to let other people go, flourish, and live their dream life, even after having her dad run over Travolta and all that situation. She's able to do it. Literally anything else. And it could have been extremely jarring for her and her father. Like, there could have been cops involved if there was any other situation. So Imogen is able to let go when needed. And so I feel like after Fiona kind of snaps at her, she's like, oh my God, I'm doing it again. I'm fighting it. So I need to let her go. Like, I love her too much to hold her back. So I need to let her go. And that leads us into the lessons learned, which is just sometimes you gotta let go, girl. When things don't work out the way you want it to, sometimes it's just best to have someone else take control of the situation, especially for someone who, especially in such dire situations, it's best to have a grown-up or someone else to take responsibility. It's okay to let go and let other people help you, but it's also okay to let go of people when you love them enough and you want them to continue to grow and flourish in life, and you don't want to hinder them. So it's okay. It's hard, but it's okay to do so. So that's all I have for this video. If you like this video, be sure to like this video. Comment below what you think about Imogen. And until next time, stay magical. Bye.